What do you get when you mix divine trauma, high-voltage authority, a hyper-lethal automaton, and absolutely no therapy? You get A, the electro Archon of Inazuma. A woman who grieved so hard she deleted the concept of personal ambition, built a murder puppet in her own image, and called it nation building. Welcome to the story of Raiden Shogun, a tale of godhood, grief, totalitarian fashion choices, and what happens when the concept of coping gets replaced with eternal lightning-based control. Because nothing says leader of a nation like spending 500 years in your own mind palace while your AI twin commits philosophical crimes in your name. Before she became the reclusive Archon of emotional detachment, A was one half of a divine duo. Twin gods, A and Makoto, born with matching faces but wildly different vibes. Makoto, the older sister, was chosen by Celestia as the official Electro Archon. Kind, graceful, more into subtle diplomacy than swordplay. She's the invites everyone to tea kind of ruler. A was the blade in the dark, the silent protector, the I solve problems with lightning and zero context sibling. Together they ruled Inazuma in balance, Makoto as the public symbol of peace, A as the hidden guardian who made sure no one dared to challenge that peace. And for a while, it worked. Inazuma was thriving, cultural blossoms bloomed, the sakura trees sparkled with electric energy, the people dreamed, prospered, had thoughts and feelings and future plans. And then Kaenria happened. 500 years ago, the world fell apart. The cataclysm, the same one that ruined Kaenria, traumatized Venti, erased Zhongli's last shred of idealism, and made Dainsleif a walking Tumblr post, hit Tevat like divine karma. Makoto, being the Archon on record, left to fight in the chaos. She told no one. Not her people, not her subordinates, not even A. Because when your nation's balance depends on your own stillness, maybe you think grief can wait. It couldn't. By the time A arrived, Makoto was gone, and all that remained were scorched earth, shattered dreams, and the sword her sister had once carried with pride, now limp in the soil. A didn't cry. Gods don't cry. She internalized, which is worse. Rather than face her loss, A did what all deeply well-adjusted deities do. She immediately concluded that change was the real enemy. Time? Dangerous. Ambition? Reckless. Dreams? A recipe for pain. So she picked up her sister's gnosis and took her place as the new Electro Archon. In name, in power, and eventually in ideology. But rather than preserve Makoto's vision of prosperity, she chose to lock the entire nation into a concept she called eternity, a world that would never change, never grow, never hurt her again. Because when you're immortal, why process trauma when you can just suppress it until the end of time? Now, eternity sounds poetic on paper, unchanging, peaceful, like a screensaver of sakura petals frozen mid-fall, but in practice, it's a philosophical meat grinder. To achieve her new vision, A retreated into her own soul realm, the plane of euthymia, which is both a metaphysical void and the world's most cursed Airbnb. And because ruling a nation requires dealing with people, she did the rational thing, created a hyper-powerful automaton to rule in her place. Enter Raiden Shogun, the puppet. Unfeeling, flawless, efficient, everything A thought leadership should be, emotionally sterile. Spoiler, it goes terribly. The puppet doesn't understand humans, or feelings, or nuance, or subtlety, and so the Vision Hunt Decree is born, a nationwide mandate to confiscate visions from anyone with ambition, creativity, or too much hope, because ambition leads to progress. Progress leads to change, and change is bad. So, clearly, dreams must die. The decree turns Inazuma into a purple-lit police state. The Tenryou Commission becomes a glorified dream death squad. Families are shattered. Artists fall silent. Citizens live in fear that wanting anything might get them smitten by a sky laser. A sees none of this. She's in her spiritual timeshare, meditating and pretending it's fine. The puppet becomes increasingly dangerous. Yaemiko, the sassiest fox priestess in Tevat, tries to talk sense into A. A's response? Let's just get rid of the gnosis. Too much responsibility anyway. So she gives the gnosis to Yae, who immediately trades it to the Fatui for information. That gnosis is now probably chilling in Snezhnaya, while the Tsaritsa uses it to fuel her ice-themed trauma. Meanwhile, Inazuma is falling apart. Just when Inazuma starts to feel like a national anxiety attack wrapped in cherry blossoms, the universe sends in its favorite problem solver, the Traveler. You. Yes, you, armed with one sword, infinite stamina, and a concerning willingness to get involved in other nations' domestic issues. From the moment you step off the boat, it's clear this isn't just another sightseeing trip. The city's under lockdown, people are whispering about vanished visions, resistance fighters are hiding in caves, and the Shogun just incinerated a guy for being too passionate about poetry. So, naturally, the Traveler joins the resistance, because who else is going to fix this? Ayaka's busy being elegant, Goru's got a water run, and Ito's doing his best. But this isn't just about politics. It's personal, because the people of Inazuma are living in fear. Children grow up afraid to dream. Artists burn their canvases. Friends die for speaking out. And it's not just the puppet enforcing it all. It's A's will behind it. Her trauma, her grief, her silence. So when the Traveler finally confronts Raiden Shogun, they are not just fighting lightning. They're fighting the embodiment of unresolved pain. The duel is brutal, glorious, cinematic. But it's what comes after that changes everything. The Traveler gets dragged into A's plane of euthymia, her private soulscape where feelings go to die. And there, in the stillness, they say the words no one's dared to say for centuries. Your pain doesn't make this okay. It's not a threat. It's an invitation to be human again. And for the first time, A listens. Just when it seems like A's finally turning the emotional corner, the past rears its perfectly symmetrical high-definition head. Because, surprise, there's another puppet. Yes, a second, more intense, fully automated version of Raiden Shogun built as a last resort. A failsafe, a walking contingency plan for if A ever dared to change her mind about eternity. Meet Shogun Prime. Because if emotional repression had a final boss, it would wear violet armor and quote your worst coping mechanisms back at you. This puppet isn't just strong, it's principled. It exists for one purpose: to maintain A's original decree at any cost, even if that means turning against its own creator. And so, A and her now slightly more self-aware first puppet must team up in the most dysfunctional therapy session of all time to fight themselves. It's not just metal clashing, it's ideas, ideals, every repressed emotion given a blade. The puppet represents the part of A that refuses to grieve. A represents the part of herself that wants to let go, but is terrified. And the battlefield? A realm made of her own psyche. Basically the spiritual equivalent of punching yourself in the face in front of God. The fight is fast, furious, and weirdly poetic. Every blow lands with metaphorical weight. Every dodge is an act of defiance against her former self, until at last she breaks through. They win. Barely. And for the first time in centuries, A makes a real decision. She chooses to change. After the dust settles, A steps out of the void and into the real world. She abolishes the Vision Hunt decree, apologizes to her people, vaguely, and begins to reconnect, awkwardly, with her nation. She visits shrines, talks to Yaemiko, eats food she didn't make herself. Let the puppet develop a personality beyond kill command. It's not a sudden transformation. It's not perfect, but it's real. And that's more than most Archons ever manage. Raiden Shogun's story isn't a redemption arc. It's a philosophical disaster that slowly learns how to feel again. It's the tale of a god who let grief define her and nearly destroyed a nation in the name of never being hurt again. But in the end, A discovers something profound. That eternity doesn't mean standing still. It means lasting through change, adapting, growing, healing, even when it's painful. Especially when it's painful. Even if you're a lonely goddess with a mecha twin and a 1,000-year-old pain buried under layers of defined stoicism. If this story zapped your soul with emotional voltage, drop a like. Subscribe for more lore deep dives, god trauma, and meme breakdowns of emotionally unavailable Archons. And comment below, would you trust a lightning-wielding robot version of yourself to run your country? This has been the story of Raiden Shogun. And remember, just because you're immortal doesn't mean you're emotionally okay. But hey, at least she's trying.